Hey everybody, it's Jeremy from Lighthouse Creative Co., offering creative production and consulting services for artists of all kinds in all places. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and go down below and like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate that, and you'll get notified anytime I put out new content. Right now I'm gearing for 1 video a week, but if we're lucky, you might get 2. I remember when I first started playing guitar a long time ago, my first pedal board had the TC Electronics Nova delay on it. And I remember loving that delay for a couple reasons, but the biggest reason was that dual delay feature where you could have the dotted eighth going on one side and the quarter note on the other, which just gave you really clean, crisp, and rhythmic delay sounds. We're going to jump into Ableton Live today, and we're going to look at how we can recreate that using only stock effects and take it to another level with a couple different techniques that I'm going to show you. I had to go make coffee. Okay, so that jam you heard at the beginning was just a little something I threw together for this video that highlighted some of the delay. So the delay was on the Rhodes, the jingly keyboard that I was playing, and then it was on the guitar as well. So I just wanted to give you a quick example of what it could sound like in context, but now let's dive in. It's super simple how we make it, but there's a couple things you got to look out for when we're doing this type of delay inside of an instrument rack. So the first thing we're going to do is we have Ableton Live open. So we're going to do the Rhodes, the piano that I was playing, the keys that I was playing. So again, it's dry with no internal verb or internal effects going on. So the effect that we want to start off with is actually an instrument, or an effect rack, an effect rack. So we go to the audio effect rack right up here. It's the first selection in our effects in Ableton Live. We're going to drag that down. We're going to create this inside the channel strip of the keyboard plugin. So we're going to drag this down. And so now we're just going to come down into the simple delay section. And we're going to click the dotted eighth, and we're going to bring that in, and that's going to create a chain inside this effect rack. So we're going to have the dotted eighth, and we're going to label that. We're going to say dotted eighth. And then we're going to bring in the quarter note delay. Quarter note. Rename that to quarter. So now I can see my 2 delays here. I could see the eighth note, the dotted eighth note, and I could see the quarter note. But now the reason why we use an effect rack, I'm going to cut this real quick because I want to show you what normally happens. So in Ableton Live, if you're not familiar with it a whole bunch, when you insert effects in other DAWs, the effects go top down. They feed into one another top down. In Ableton Live, they feed left to right. And so if I was to drop a dotted eighth note in the usual way, and then a regular quarter note in, the signal would actually be hitting the dotted eighth, and then those dotted eighth delays would then be delayed by a quarter note. Do you understand? So the signal chain would go audio, dotted eighth into the quarter note. What we want is for the audio signal to hit those delays at the same time and be output separately, per se. So that's why we use this right here, the effect rack. Because what's happening is now the signal is being essentially split into 2 parallel signals, hitting the dotted eighth note and the quarter note delay separately and sending them out to the mains parallel. But we have an issue when we do this, because now we've effectively doubled our output signal. We're going to take these dB levels, and as simple as I could put it, because decibels are exponential in how they work and how loudness works, we're going to take all these down by -6 dB. That way, when the audio signal comes out of this effect rack, it's still hitting our main bus at technically 0 dB. If there's anybody that's 10 times smarter than me that could either negate that or reinforce that, go ahead and put it down in the comments. But I know that being because we have 2 effects here that are delivering nominal signal, we have to reduce those in order to get a nominal output. So now that we have that, let's hear what we got. So we got that sweet little dance rhythm delay going on. It sounds awesome. But now we can tweak it to our taste. So both of these have the same controls on them. So the dotted eighth and the quarter note both have the dry wet going on. So we're going to take the eighth note down to 40% and the quarter note down to 40%. That way there's a little bit more attack of that dry note from the original sound. I'm actually going to boost that up a little more. Let's try 48% on both. And we can reduce the feedback, just how much of it delays. We're going to turn that down. We'll take it down to 50%. On both delays, on the eighth note and the quarter note delay. Yeah, that sounded good. But now here comes the fun part of how we can really tweak it inside of our DAW, inside of Ableton Live, to really bring these out, to separate them, and to make just some cool sonic space with this delay. And so a lot of that happens in the panning. So you can so this is where, if you're on studio monitors listening and watching, or if you have headphones, this is where it's really going to come out. And this works really well in a production setting, in a live setting, if you're playing out of a stereo rig, to have your original Rode signal seemingly come down the middle and the delays really be surrounding you. So we're just going to take the dotted eighth delay, we're going to take that all the way to the right, and we're going to take the quarter note delay and pan that all the way to the left. And now we just get some beautiful space inside of our delay, just some great sonic scape going on. And so that's what I really enjoy for a really clean delay that we get going. I know a lot of people are really in love with that kind of analog, kind of warbly sound. So something that we can do to achieve that is we have our audio effect rack here, and then we want to feed both of these signals into one solid signal. And so we're going to take a chorus. So we're going to bring the chorus down. Just grab the chorus effect. You don't have to take a preset. And now we have just this sweet, that's a little much, but if we just bring this modulation down to the left-hand corner, maybe bring up the dry wet signal to about 60%, you have just the hint of that wobble that gives that a little analog feel. So we can take this effect now, because this is all on this channel. We can think of this as one instrument. So the contact piano, the effect rack, and the chorus, we could think of that as one distinct instrument, and then we can play around with setting to verbs and stuff. So you have that stereo delay going on, the left and right, but you also then can take a verb. So we're just going to go into Ableton and go grab a reverb. Let's try this hall. Let's try cathedral. And again, we're putting this on the return channel. So now I have control over the send here. Let's boost the stereo even more. Really get that separation in the reverb as well. Let's take the decay time up. We're going to raise that high. We're actually going to turn that high cut off. The chorus is off, which is good because we already have chorus going into the verb. And we're going to turn up these reflections. So feeding this channel that's got the delay and the chorus into this verb and having control over that send really just gives us a nice airy space, while this piano here, this contact Rhodes, still seemingly comes straight down the middle. And I just think it's a really great way to find space in your productions, find space in your mixes, while having some great rhythm. Not only does this work well for anything you're playing, like you saw in the video at the beginning here, but you can throw it on an ARP. Actually, let's try that. So I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to turn this off. One of my favorite things is building an arpeggiated synth and throwing a dual delay on it. So let's bring up Omnisphere. So you have Omnisphere. I'm going to turn these effects off real quick. And I'm just going to make a quick little... I'm just going to take this stock patch. I'm going to throw a low-pass filter on it. So for these, I'm going to take an ARP. I'm going to make a chord ARP so I can just hit some notes and it'll play as the chord. I'm just going to turn it down to 4 steps. And then I want the clock to be 1/8 notes. So this is the ARP now. I'm going to bring down these velocities a little bit. I'm going to bring the length down. So now we have that 1/8 note ARP going, and then we just get some really cool spacey vibes, and we throw this audio effect on of the delays. I'm going to go ahead and try it again, but bring in the reverb as well. Bring in that just a little bit of analog tone with the chorus, bring the reverb send down a bit. So you see, with just a couple delays inside of an effect rack as your bass, you can play around with different sends, with different effects at the other side of the effect rack, in order to create one space, and in order to take what would seem just a regular, normal, boring sound and turn it into something that is distinct, is moving, and can take your productions just to a different level, a different sound, all through a couple simple steps. So yeah, I really hope that you can take this and apply it in your own productions, in your live work, whatever it may be. Just remember, the key here is that you want to make sure you're just controlling your levels, because if you start stacking effects in your effect rack with the same signal, you're going to start overloading your master bus. Yeah, that's it. Have a great day, everybody. Like and subscribe down below. Yeah.